Like for me, say you're a gym brand, you need to work out. So we're going to do one post a week on the gym wear. We're going to do one post a week on workouts. We're going to do one post a week on post-workout foods, or what I've had in a day, because that's your inside scoop. That's your personality, because you're showing what you've eaten in a day. You don't have to do that. It's not really anything to do with business. But people are getting the inside scoop and the personality. And then within that, you're showing your gym wear, you're showing your gym supplements, whatever it is, and people are going, so where did you get those leggings from? Where did you get those supplements from? And it's about organically adding your products into it.
I like to call my unlimited content matrix, and essentially you break your business down into 4 pillars, right? You're welcome. Before I even start, you break your business down into 4 pillars. You say, okay, let's say for example it's Crunches by Susie. She has really likes, fashion, right? She really likes hair, and there's another 2. So you break down hair and fashion, and you get their keywords. So you say, okay, fashion, we have models, we have material, we have this, that, and the other. And then for each of those keywords, you'd break that down into the who, what, when, where, how, and why.
What's sustainable happens quickly. Nothing. Like very few of you can show me an example of something that is sustainable, that is built quickly. I look at a plant. You look at a tree. Look, the biggest tree in the forest here. How long has it been there for? Thousands of years. It's not coincidence. You look at buildings. How long did they build a building? How long does it stay standing for?
Yeah.
Look at a baby. If a baby is born too soon, it's at risk of dying. Everything in life. There's not one thing in life here that can happen quickly and is sustainable. So when I tell you the post here for the next 6 months here, that's me using the laws of life and nature and what we see around us to understand here that nothing in life that is built quickly is sustainable.
I love the psychology of it. And I think sometimes with digital marketing, we forget that it's the same thing. It's just using different platforms, and the speed in which the digital platforms allow us to market to our audience compared to traditional offline is just incomparable. It's just crazy fast. And also the accessibility of how many people we can reach. And so it can be quite overwhelming when we think about the bigger picture of digital marketing, but really when it comes down to it, it's about the psychology that we've always known. And that goes right back to, hey, I've got some of these carrots. I've noticed that you haven't got any carrots. What about these? Should we swap some carrots for some of your potatoes? So it's about the psychology of somebody wanting or needing something and then somebody else being able to provide.
We call it edutainment. So it's education and entertainment. And don't be scared by the entertainment word, because entertainment is broad. Anyone can find anything interesting. It doesn't need to be humorous or anything like that. Teach us about this, and you can do that with a hook. So one tip for video content is you need to capture someone's attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds. You need a hook, and that hook it needs to draw in that person. So on TikTok, you can write a cover title on your video. If your service is beneficial in some way, a hook on that cover title could be, this is what really saves me time when I'm ... That's a hook, because now I want to know what saves you time. So this is where services can really play up to, how is this beneficial for you? Why should you be parting money? How can this change my routine in the best way possible? So that is everything that they need to be pushing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from, whichever galaxy you're on. Hopefully it's the Earth, wherever you are. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in today from. I am genuinely excited to be speaking today. I'm so excited I can't even get my words out of my mouth. I'm genuinely excited to be speaking to today's guest because we met this gentleman at an event, and the first time I heard him and saw him, I knew that this guy was about something because of what he was wearing. And it's actually funny that we're going to be speaking about personal branding and focusing around personal branding and how it lends itself to being a great salesperson. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to today's guest, Mr. Benjamin Dennehy.
Hello.
Did I butcher your name?
No, you didn't. You got it right because we did all that practice before the recording, so you did well.
All right. I did good. I listened. I did good. How are you doing today, sir?
I do very well. Yes, keeping busy. Life is good. No complaints. Yes.
One thing that I like to ask on UKBF Talks, just to make sure that you are a human being and that you're not an alien or a robot.
Yeah.
Who the heck are you and what do you do?
Well, I am known as the UK's most hated sales trainer, and I spend my life trying to take crappy, shitty salespeople with shitty beliefs, people who are in sales not because they want to be there, but because they had nowhere else to go, because sales is where you go when you've tried everything else and failed. Yeah, this is the last bastion. So I try to take the 20% of them that have the potential to do really well. 80% won't ever do it. They're just going to be at leasters and just muddle through life and eventually die having had a reasonable existence. But 20% of people in sales can really, really do well if they apply it. They see it as a profession. They see it as a skill. They see it as a career. It is not a job. It's not something you do to get through to the weekend. So I look for them. And if you do this well, there's no better career to have than sales, because I don't think there's any other career where you can write your own paycheck. If you want to earn more money one month, you say, gosh, I want to go on holiday, I'll go out and sell more. Yeah, not many jobs give you the opportunity to make more money by doing what you're being paid to do anyway.
Do you know what? The literal way you just broke it down, I can't argue with you on that.
No.
So why do they call you the UK's number one most hated salesman?
Well, no one. I made it up.
Oh my gosh.
Ironically, we're talking about branding and marketing. I made it up. So when I first started out deciding that this is what I wanted to do, I went on LinkedIn and I went and looked at what other people who are supposedly experts in the field of sales training are. And if you read what they write about themselves, I realised they suffer from the same disease that virtually every salesperson suffers from. And that's the incredible need to feel loved and liked. Yeah, number one, top performer, outperform, strip, leader, professional. All these terms they use to describe themselves. Love me, look at me, like me, be like me. And I thought, no one wants to be hated. So sod it. I will take that spot, and I will rather than say I'm a guru, I'm an expert, I'm a genius, I'm going to say, no, I'm just hated. And it's worked wonders, because only an idiot can come along now and say, no, I'm more hated. I mean, I'd love to see him try.
No, I really get the wisdom behind that. And also, I can see there you've got a hat that says, make salesman great again. And as people who may be aware of former President Trump, he had a tag or a slogan saying "Make America Great Again." Where did that come from?
I figured, you see, so I was known as the UK's most hated sales trader before Trump ran for president. And then he ran for president and he's wearing this stupid red hat saying "Make America Great Again," and he was such a figure of hate. It's like, well, I'm nicking that then. I mean, how can I not take that? And I purposely put salesman. The number of people that say, it doesn't say salespeople. Yeah, it's like, good, yes. It wouldn't annoy you if it said salespeople, right? So this is why it's make salesmen great again. And anyway, being called a man is the most original gender-neutral term there is. We're all humans, all mankind. We're persons. Yeah, so it's gender-neutral, and that annoys the fascists on the other side. So yeah.
Oh my God, you are a character. So he's not a robot. He's a human being. All right. So we're gonna crack on with the questions.
Go for it.
So in your eyes, what is personal branding in your eyes?
Personal branding is something that sort of jumped on the scene It's become big in the last few years. It's normally people under 20 who are broke trying to tell you how to build a brand with 16 followers, which I find quite fascinating. But that aside, personal branding to me works for me because I was in a crowded, competitive marketplace. This is sales training. How many people on the world teach sales? I mean, there's a lot. So how do you stand out in a crowded, competitive marketplace where everybody's screaming, this is the way to do it, this is the best way, this is my way? And I realized early on that I had to create a brand, so to speak, that would stand out. I originally used to call myself the UK's second best motivational speaker. And I nicked that off of a guy called Brad Burton because he used to call himself the number one. And so I used it because people say, well, why are you only number two? Because I can't be asked to be number one. You know, it was a bit of a joke, you know, motivational. But it lasted for a bit, but I'm not a motivational speaker. So it didn't make any sense. So I had to come up with something better. And that's when I started doing my research and figured out, actually, being hated is going to be the flag that I can plant my mast on or plant my flag on. So I created it to stand out, to cut through the noise. And I believe it's worked quite well.
Yeah. Yeah. So personal branding is something that, from what you just said, is something that allows you to potentially cut through the noise and be stood out. Because from the first time I met you, I remember you were wearing that hat or something similar. And every time I see you, you're wearing that hat. So anytime somebody thinks about Benjamin, they're thinking that hat that says salesman on it, and what the UK's number one most hated salesman. So it's something that allows you, it's something distinctive that allows you to cut through the noise and just makes you memorable.
Makes me memorable. People don't forget it. They're able to form opinions. So you either like my approach or you hate it. I don't really care. The ones that hate it were never going to buy from me. The ones that like it will buy from me. And there's enough people in the world for me to sell to that will like it than those that don't. So I was willing to be disruptive, willing to be challenging, willing to be controversial, because if you don't try and scream louder than everyone else screaming, you're just going to get drowned out. So you have to stand out, particularly if you're in a crowded, competitive marketplace. And I'm up against big players. I'm up against multi-million-pound companies through to other one-man bands like me. So how do I cut through? How do I get young people to listen to me? How do I get older people to listen to me? So it was very important that I created an image. I also created an image that's particularly harsh and brutal, because in reality I'm not like the character that is projected. And it's part of the psychology of selling. People are expecting something when I arrive, and I'm something completely different. And it's easier to feel comfortable around me as well. So it's all everything I do is choreographed to further my ability to sell.
Yeah. And the audience that we have are small business owners, micro business owners. Is this something that when it comes to personal branding and also choreographing a particular persona, is this something that you feel, if it doesn't flow naturally, what could that person do?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it takes a certain type of person that wants to create a personal brand. So I don't think everyone that goes into business is going to want to do it. I think those who've got a good mind for selling and marketing will, because the number one reason why most businesses fail is they have a good idea, they just can't sell it. Yeah, they set up a business under the apprehension it's like Kevin Costner in The Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. So no, it doesn't work like that. You can't just say, I've got a great idea and people give you money. You've got to go out and sell it. So most people don't know that, so their businesses don't last. But the ones that do get through have figured out, I have to be proactive, I have to be out there, I have to make a noise, people have to see me and hear me. And it requires doing something different. So I think if you run a small business, it doesn't matter what you sell. Most of you will be in a crowded, competitive marketplace. There's very few businesses that are niche. Most people like to think they're niche, but they're not. I sell the same crap as any other sales trainer. It's just packaged and wrapped differently, and I'm probably better at delivering it. And I'm brutally honest about that. You know, computers sell computers, water sells water, telecom sells. What's the big difference? Nothing. How you market it, the messaging you put around it, and the branding to get people drawn to it.
Yeah, no, that's really important to know. So how effective or how can effective personal branding positively impact sales and potential business growth?
Well, branding is a form of marketing. And if people don't know you exist, how are they going to give you money? So you need to exist in order to be able to get people to come to you. It also helps because over time, the brand eventually becomes trusted. So when I first set up my business with this brand, I had to go out and fight for every single penny that I earned. I was proactively prospecting, proactively marketing, proactively everything out there constantly. Yeah, trying to generate. Fast forward, 7, 8 years now, I don't have to do that. The business comes to me. People just buy my courses online without having ever physically met me or spoken with me. And that's all because the brand has become trusted because the people that have worked with me leave glowing recommendations. So you got the word of mouth. I'm consistent. I think that's one thing that I know for a fact is I'm consistent in my messaging. It's never changed what I say or how I do it. And people eventually see that I'm not a flip-flopper. I do everything I teach. So the brand enables people to say, all right, well, I've never met Benjamin. I've never spoken with him, but everything he's put out there, it resonates with me. Lots of other people have done it and said it's good, so I'm just going to give him my money. That's brilliant for me.
Now let's take it back to sales and the fundamentals of sales. I'm starting off in a business and I want to particularly sell candles. What do I need to be focusing on? What sort of strategy do I or could I adopt to sell my candles, for example?
Yeah, candles will be a tough one, I'll give you that. But if you have to sell a product, you have to have created a solution to problems. So it's no point creating something because you like it. There's got to be a market, which means most people in business fix or solve problems. So if you can't explain what you do in language that your prospect can understand and in a way that demonstrates you understand their pains or frustrations, you're always going to struggle selling. Most people think selling is the art of showing up, throwing up and hoping. You know, you get in front of someone, you throw up all over them about what you do, why you do it, how you do it, the reason why you do it. But never do you actually sit down and focus on, actually, these are the things we fundamentally fix. Do you recognize any of them? And if they say, yeah, we do, then have a conversation. Most people don't do that. They go into convince people through logic and reason and beautiful presentations why you should buy from us. That's why most people in business and sales fail, because they approach it from the wrong angle. I don't go into ever talk about me. I don't need to convince someone that what I does work. I know what I do works. So the purpose of this meeting isn't for me to convince you. It's for you, Mr. Prospect, to convince me why I should help you. And I'm only going to be convinced if you can demonstrate you have problems I fix and they're costing you enough money that you're willing to invest what it's going to cost to fix them. So I flip selling on its head. It's not about presenting anything. It's about finding out if I should work with you. You need me, I don't need you. Same with candles, yeah? Why would somebody want or need candles? Not, well, they're beautiful and they're pretty and they're environmentally friendly. I don't give a rat's ass. Why do I need it?
So you're basically saying that bringing value, making sure that whatever you're selling brings a value to whoever, whatever market that you're looking to put it into.
It has to fix something. Think of selling like, imagine you're like, the best way to describe it is you're a drugs company, right? Drugs are made because they identify symptoms and they say, oh, look, there's all these people out there with these symptoms. Let's create a drug and sell this to them. Say it'll take away those symptoms. And people buy it because it alleviates some frustration or pain. We're in the same business. You're a drugs company. You created a drug because you saw there are all these people in a certain sector suffering from a particular problem. You said, I'm going to make a drug and I'm going to sell them to it. That's what we're in. But if you create a drug that nobody wants...
It's true.
Then no one's going to buy it, yeah? Well, what does this fix? Nothing. Well, why would I take it? I don't know. We'll make it illegal then. Maybe that'll turn you on. Yeah, but this is it, you see. So drugs companies know how to do it. Identify problems and create something to fix the problem. We're in the same, yeah? Sales training. What is it? How does not having good salespeople, what's the knock-on manifestation effect of that? And what do I say to get them to realise that I can fix it? So that's it. We're drug companies, effectively.
Yeah, and for somebody who may not be have the natural instinct to sell, what can someone like that do? What should someone like that do to further their ability to learn, or what do I need to do?
Well, do what most would do and just hope things get better. Yeah, that's what most salespeople do. What a lot of salespeople do is they're like washing machines. They work really hard, but they tend to just spin around in a circle and not really go anywhere, yeah? But you do enough of that, and you do clean some clothes. So if you don't like selling, setting up a business is probably a pretty stupid thing to do because you're going to be selling it. So the only other thing you can do is, well, I'll hire someone. That's what a lot of people do. I'll hire someone to do my sales. The problem is if you don't know how to sell, how on earth can you hire someone that can sell? Because they'll come in and they'll tell you what you think or believe you want to hear, and then they get on payroll. Most people interview like Tom Cruise, but turn into Mr. Bean once on payroll in sales. Yeah, they all do well in the interview. Yeah, but as soon as you're paying them, they suddenly can't prospect. So if you want to get good at selling, you have to invest in yourself and you have to learn how to do it. If you try and outsource it, you'll have some limited success. Yeah, you're going to get natural organic growth and things like that, but if you want to aggressively grow, you have to aggressively go out and prospect and meet people. And if you don't want to do that, you either learn how to do it or find someone that can do it. Both are painful processes.
The next question I'm going on to is what are the key elements in your eyes of building a strong personal brand for sales professionals and also for people wanting to sell a service or a product?
See, this is where I differ from a lot of people out there. Is I don't think you need a personal brand unless you're pretty much an individual that's selling something individual. So, for instance, I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man business. I don't have employees. I don't want employees. Anyone that asks to work for me, I say I don't want to. No, I don't want that. So I had to create a personal. Well, it's technically a corporate brand for me, but because I am the only person in that corporate, it's a personal brand. But if you're an SDR or a salesman working for someone like IBM or Dell, the brand is IBM and Dell. No one goes, oh, I'm not buying IBM. I'm buying because of the personal branding of the SDR that contacted me. Yeah, so I think you don't need a personal brand if you're working for a larger organization. I think that's a bit narcissistic. I think almost you're bigger than the company you're working for. But if you are a small organization that needs to stand out, you're trying to compete against the bigger folk, then you do need to create some sort of brand, some sort of disruption as well. You have to disrupt the market. You can't just be more of the same. So, but I don't think a lot of individual salespeople need a personal brand unless you quit your job and want to go out and sell something that you specifically control. That's that's my view on that.
I guess I'll follow on with this point. What role does like social media, or what role can social media play in selling stuff to people? Because there was I don't know if you ever saw this on social media or on LinkedIn. There was a guy that used to work for IBM, as the example you just used, and he worked in, I don't know what capacity, but he was selling particular products or services. And because he used to do like these dances or these things, these choreographed routines, he built such a profile. And those things allowed him to open up. It softened up and warmed up conversations with people because I've seen you before, I've seen you there. So what role potentially or how important can social media be to someone looking to sell a product or service?
Right, so social media is just the modern marketplace. It's the online digital marketplace. It's a forum. It's like TV or press advertising. That's where you had to go to get your message across. So social media, obviously, is just that. You got lots of eyeballs and lots of ears, and you want to get content in front of them that they enjoy. So, yes, the guy you've just mentioned at IBM, not everybody can do that, though, because if everybody in sales had an individual brand, there would be no individual branding. They would just all be sales folk, right? So it's like top footballers or top people. There will be a handful of people in life that can get really good at doing something and get to the top and make money, but the rest can aspire to it but probably won't get there. So individuals can create a brand and it may help them. I don't dispute that. But for the majority, I don't believe the majority can do it, because the moment the majority's all doing it, it's now the norm. And the lack of a personal brand will then become the personal brand. I'm just a vanilla IBM guy. There's nothing. I love that guy. I love how he just says he's just vanilla. Yeah. Either way, So whenever the more and more people do something, the less and less good it becomes, I guess. But there'll always be a handful that will rise to the top every time and create a great impression and personal brand that will go with them. But most people can't do that. I think we're lying to a lot of people if we say, you build a personal brand and you'll make it. You better be good. You've got to stand out. It's like saying, become a professional footballer. How many people are trying to become professional footballers? How hard does it get to that top? You can't just say, become a professional footballer. No. It doesn't work like that. And if everyone was a professional footballer, they'd be called amateurs, because you need someone better than them.
No, I like the breakdown of what you just said there in regards to the cream always rising to the top, and even going back to a word you used before about disrupting a particular area or a particular field, because if everybody was doing it, it would just literally be the norm. So how important is education when it comes to knowing how to sell?
What do you mean by education?
So how important is paying somebody to learn how to do something or how to sell?
No. So I use to, so I have a rule. I only work with companies if they make the salespeople pay towards the training themselves. Because you meet a lawyer, you meet a surgeon, you meet an accountant, you meet anyone in any other professional capacity, and ask them how they got there. I had to go to university, I had to study for years, I had to take out a loan. I paid for this myself. Sales seems to be the only profession where people fall into it with no skill set and then expect the employer to fund them getting better at a job they don't really want to do. Yeah, I mean, most lawyers and doctors and surgeons and accountants wanted to be lawyers, doctors, because they studied for years. Salespeople, I needed a job. Yeah, and so I know you've got to pay me to get good at it, but I don't really want to get good at it, so I'll come along for the free buffet and the day out of the office, but I won't really change. So no, do not pay to change your salespeople. That's just your vanity and ego. That's you wanting to rescue. I meet people, I want to invest in them, Benjamin. I want to help them. Well, set up a charity. Yeah, this is a business. Have them educate themselves, spend their own money and time getting better, because the only one that will benefit in the long run is them. The sales skills that you learn belong to you. They don't belong to the company. And if you get good at it, you can take it with you anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, and always make money. So why is that not your responsibility to invest in?
So it is like for a one-man band or two people in a business who are, one is not able to sell, one's got a basic level of being able to sell. What would your advice in that scenario be for people like that? Somebody running their own business on their own, or somebody like within the partnership?
Well, I suppose it comes down to this. Are you pissed off and frustrated with how much work you're doing for the return you're getting? And if you are, then you better figure out how to get paid more for doing less. And the only way to do that is learn how to sell. But if it's not pissing you off or not frustrating you, then you're not going to change. People are only motivated to change if it's going to better them or it's going to stop something hurting. And what you do meet in life is a lot of people like their misery. A lot of people love the drama of being able to moan about how miserable their life is. You've got friends like that, I bet, right? You know, they say, I hate my job. You go, well, quit. No, but I need the money. Then shut up. Yeah? Yeah, my girlfriend doesn't love me. Then leave her. But I love her. Then shut up. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just, why are you whinging and moaning? There's ways to fix this, but you don't fix it. Why? Deep down, they like their misery. So if your sales aren't making you pissed off enough to want to change, then unfortunately, you're just going to have to suck it up until you get to the point where enough's enough and you take action. No one else can do it for you. This is why people hate me, by the way, because I don't sugarcoat it. I celebrate next year 20 years of being my own boss. That means for 20 years, I've been 100% commission. And I meet salespeople that bitch and moan about not getting paid enough commission, but they get a 45,000 basic. It's like, piss off. You're not even a salesman. You're an over-glorified professional visitor, yeah? Yeah, they could strategically shave a chimp and put it in a suit on roller skates and you'd probably get the similar results. Yeah? So I'm brutally blunt with people because they spend too much time saying it's everybody else's fault that I'm not selling. It's not. It's yours. Either accept it and suck it up or accept it and get out.
Very, very, very eloquently put.
Thank you.
My next question is, what role does storytelling play in sales, and how can it effectively be utilized?
So storytelling, yes, telling stories is obviously important, particularly when you want to get across complicated facts or you want to make a comparison. We as a species, we're a storytelling species. Human history, I mean, most of our history before the written word was obviously passed down, and there's an actual and I know the cultures that do it, Jewish people in particular, the Jewish culture, Polynesian cultures, they master the art of being, you know, we do the game as a kid called Chinese Whispers, and you all go round the room, and by the time it's got to the end, it's completely garbled. And so everyone, you know, there used to be this idea that that's what human history was like. But it wasn't. These people mastered the art. Only a few people could tell the stories. And they had to tell it exactly the same way. So the same story got passed down without changing. And that's a skill set, right, that we probably lost in the 21st century. But there are cultures out there that still do it, the oral culture. So telling stories is incredibly important. But it's got to be done in the right way at the right time, just like anything. And that's always going to be contextual. It's got to be the right story for the right person as well. Yeah. And if you want to tell a story with humor in it, you have to be very careful because humor is very subjective. Yeah. So you've always got to be very, very careful. So it also can be a minefield. So it's always keep the story short, simple, and as uncontroversial as possible, unless you know your audience. Unless you're me, and then you can be a complete twat in a red hat and people still give you money.
No, yeah, I feel like being able to work a room, for example, we host networking events, yes. And being able to articulate but not bore people, yes. And capture an audience but not make people fall asleep. Is very, very important. So just going back to the point of knowing the room, knowing your audience, being able to consistently deliver the message that you need to get across, and not take too much of people's time.
Well, let me give you an example. Let's say you're in a room and you're with a managing director and a finance director. They're often two very different personalities. Managing directors view the world and the business quite differently from a finance director. The finance director is probably more logical, more analytical, needs to see using logic, numbers, and detail how you're going to get somewhere. So you'd have to tell stories that appeal to him. Whereas with an MD, they're more blue sky thinker. They're risk takers. They don't normally care for the detail. They just say, can it be done? Yep, fine, we'll figure it out, right? So that's why it's like a marriage, because they mirror, they suit each other so well. One says, let's spend $1 million. The other says, hold up, before we spend $1 million, let's at least crunch the numbers, right? Yeah, and it works. So you have to have the right story, the right anecdote for your audience, and that's just on 2 personality types. So that's why you got to be careful when you use it. Know your audience.
No, that's good. That's good. I really like that. Well, flying through these questions. So what are some strategies for establishing credibility and authority when it comes to sales?
So I teach something fundamental. Credibility comes from the questions you ask, not the answers you give. And salespeople don't get that. They feel that their job is to give answers and give good answers. No. If you're answering questions, it means the prospect is in control. It means they're getting from you the information that they want and they're not giving you anything in return. My job as a salesman is to gather information, not give it. I'm trying to figure out, are you someone that has problems I fix? Do you accept their problems that need fixing? Can you convince me you want to fix those problems? Can you afford the solution if you see it and like it? And how are you going to make this decision? That's what I want to extract. I'm not there to explain to you what the training looks like. We'll get there. But I first have to do my job. I need to figure all that out. And that comes from questions. And because prospects are holding the truth back, because everybody lies to salespeople, you're allowed to lie to a salesman and still go to heaven. It's legitimate. So because everyone's not telling me the truth, I know this. So I have to go in there and I have to ask questions that get them to give me the truth. So that's subtly done. And so I use this example. Let's say you're in a lecture theatre, 300 people, and there's a professor of astrophysics at the front, and he's pontificating about the universe. And then this person in the audience just sticks up their hand, and the professor goes, yes, the gentleman in the back there with his hand up. And this guy just says, so are you saying, Professor, that if the universe were to collide with another universe, that would result in a splitting of atoms which could create a black hole so vast that all of existence... And as he's asking that question, everyone's looking at the guy asking it thinking, fuck, that's such a good question. He is now the smartest person in the room. He doesn't have to know the answer, but he knew what to ask. And everyone thinks, man, fuck, that's good. That is such a great question. That's credibility. Credibility isn't look at who we've worked with and what we've done and how we've done it. That's good. Just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it'll work for me. So that doesn't help build credibility. So credibility comes from getting prospects to realize you know more about them and their problem than they do. And you do that by getting them to realize it because they can't answer your questions. And then they suddenly realize, why don't we know the answer to these questions? This guy must, because he knew to ask them. So ask great questions.
Yeah. No, I really like that.
Absolutely. Uncomfortable questions as well. The questions that make people feel awkward. Get permission. If you're going to upset someone, make sure you get permission. But you've got to ask tough questions. So I get asked questions. So some tough questions I ask when I get in front of a CEO and go, so what excuses do you guys give you for not hitting target? Because, well, I haven't actually asked them. I go, well, why not? And they go, well, no, it's a fair point. I go, I know it's a fair point. But that's not an answer. Why have you not asked your sales guys? Yeah, so that's my job, and I got to get them to start. I haven't. I don't know. Well, you must know. Come on, you're a smart guy. You run a business. What was holding you back? And then they go, I suppose I just didn't want to hear the answers. Why didn't you want to hear the answers?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's my job.
You dig.
I've got to get to the truth. You can't fix somebody just from them explaining their symptoms. You have to dig deeper and find out what caused these symptoms, and can I fix that cause? If I can't fix that cause, I can't sell to you.
Wow. Okay.
Selling is a West End show played by a psychiatrist. Got to be an actor
Okay.
and understand human mentality.
Could you help put this in context for a business person or someone running a business?
So you've got to figure out, I know what I fix and I know the root causes of the problems that I fix. So because I know those root causes, I know I've got to get my prospect there. I can't tell them the root cause. They have to discover it. So you can't convince anyone of anything. What you can do is get people to discover they need what you have. So if you've got a product or a service you want to sell, you've got to find out what is the root cause that this fixes. And how do I get our prospects to acknowledge that they have it? Now, I can't give you the structure on how you specifically do that because that will vary from product to product. But it involves asking a lot of why questions. Yeah, lots of why questions. We need to make more money. Why? Well, because we got ambitious targets. Well, why did you set targets that ambitious? Yeah, you didn't just get up one morning and say, let's make 3 million quid. There must be a reason you came up with 3 million. Why did you come up with 3 million? Oh, well, because if we get to 3 million, then we're an attractive option for people to buy us out. So that's a exit strategy then. Yeah, so if you don't hit that target, you can't get out of this business. No. And do you want to get out of this business quickly? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not sure? You got to know. You said a figure. Yeah, so this is my job. So I don't know the exact question to give you if you're watching this, but what I do know is you need to dig deep. What is the root cause? What's motivating them to do whatever it is they say they want to do?
Yeah, and that comes back to, I guess, I think this is something that I've heard before as well, the psychology. So if you're someone that's selling something or wanting to bring value, you position yourself as somebody who is the authority in that field. You should be able to make that person think, oh my gosh, I don't know anything, or I don't know as much as I thought I knew, because of the question that person has asked.
That's exactly it. That is your job. I don't know much about much, but I do know one thing better than most people in business, and it's about sales and why salespeople do and behave the way they do. I know that better than probably most MDs or CEOs. And I get them to discover that by asking them questions that make them realize, I should know the answers to this, but I don't. And I don't know why. He does. So if he knows more about this than me, then he's worth giving money to. I want to give money to someone that's at least my equal or better. But if you go in trying to convince someone of the merits of why they should use you, and you do that trying to demonstrate how wonderful you are and sucking up and not wanting to upset them, why would they give you money? They didn't do or say anything that in any way challenged me or caused me to think differently about my problem. Why would I give you money?
Yeah, no, that's really true. My next question for you, Benjamin, is what are the top mistakes that people tend to make when it comes to selling something?
1, believing that the prospect actually cares. Yeah. 2, trying to be liked. Most salespeople try to be liked. Yeah. They would rather leave a meeting with someone say, I really enjoyed this, than selling. Yeah. Because getting that emotional need met of being liked is so important to people in sales. People who are drawn to sales have a high need for approval. They're like actors. Yeah, anyone that goes into the theatre has a high need for approval, because otherwise, why the hell would you stick yourself up in front of all those people? You want them to clap and adore you. Salespeople are the same. Sales folk are the same, right? So that's the third thing is no attachment to the outcome. A professional knows that if they do their job well, whatever happens at the end, even if I don't like it, it's probably right. So a lawyer or a surgeon, they're not thinking about what's going to happen after the jury go out or what's going to happen after the body's sewn up. They're focused on everything they got to do up to the point that the jury goes out or up to the point they sew up the body. Because if I do that right, the outcome should be right. And if it doesn't go my way, what do? I look back over everything that I did And if I figure out I did something wrong, then I take the blame. You know, we screwed up. That was my fault. We should have got the result we thought, but we didn't because I got this wrong. But if they look at what they did and they did everything right and it just didn't go their way, it's all that's life. Sometimes it just doesn't go the way we want, even though we did everything right. So I focus on how I get somewhere, not whether I get there.
And when it comes to the last point that you just made there, what are the solutions to tackle that like either a salesperson or someone that is running a business? What is the solution that to that very issue?
Well, it's called process and structure. In order to become a good golfer, you actually have to learn how to stand, how to grip, how to swing. And all of those components form a process. And once you get the process right consistently, you get good outcomes. So you have to have the same for selling. I have the same conversation pretty much over and over and over again. It never changes. There's some variation, but 90% of the conversation I've had 100 times before. Because there's only so many things people can say in the selling universe with what I sell. There's nothing they can say that shocks or surprises me. Like as a surgeon, they don't cut open the body one day and say, good God, I've never seen this before. You know, it's everything that's in the body. I know, I'm prepared for it. I'm a surgeon. But most salespeople don't like that because if you have a process in a system, you have accountability. Salespeople don't like being accountable because they love flying by the seat of their pants. They love winging it. They love being able to say, so why'd they buy? Well, they love me. Yeah, they bought into me because I'm such a great guy. Yeah? And it's like, no, really, why'd they buy? People will buy in spite of you, not because of you. Yeah, so if you want to get good at selling, you got to learn a way of doing it. So my telephone calls, they all follow the same structure. I pretty much say the same thing. Very rarely do I deviate. Why? Because it works. I don't want to be making it up as I go along. If you're good at selling like you are at any profession, life becomes rather dull. Every now and then there's a bit of spice, but the rest is just going through the motions.
Yeah, it's probably the same as like when it comes to football. Like you just going back to the golf analogy that you just said. They practice penalty kicks, for example, before they go and take penalty kicks in finals or in big games, so that when they step up in that moment, in those pressure moments, they know how to deliver how to execute.
They just do what they're trained to do. And so, professional football's as good. In between the matches, they're out doing that regular training and they're running up. And it's like, man, it's a tough life. But what do salespeople do in between meetings? They fart about on LinkedIn. They send some emails. They don't do any. We should be sitting down, guys. We should be role-playing the meetings. We should be practicing our questioning. We should be practicing not reacting. They don't do that. I'll be fine. I do these all the time. They just turn up and wing it. And you do enough meetings, someone will buy. It's not hard to get money off of people. Yeah, you can sit by an ATM machine outside a Tesco in England and someone will give you money, right? It's not hard to get money.
Yeah, so it's about building a system where you can constantly, if not constantly, but consistently keep yourself refine your process, refine your strategy, and just keep doing. Because as you keep doing, you're able to see what works, you recognize what's not working, cut that bit out, and roll with what does work.
Think of like car production. They don't just chuck some metal in one door and out the other end comes a car. It's like, so how do you make car? I don't know. We just stick it in those guys, they just get on with it and eventually they bash something out. No, they know every step of the way. And as they get better at it, they say we can cut that step out, or we could merge that step, or we don't need to do that anymore, or that takes too long. Is there a better way? That's called having a process. It's selling is the same. But like I say, most salespeople don't want a process. Because if you can be held accountable, there's nowhere to hide. Because it's all your fault. It's your fault if you don't follow the process. It's not the prospects. It's not Brexit. It's not the economy. It's not interest rates. It's not the war in the Ukraine. It's you. Can't handle that.
It all comes down to you.
Comes down to you.
Yeah. And How important is surrounding yourself with mentors when it comes to being able to sell, or surrounding yourself or within a network that can support you in areas that you've got no experience in, or got no clout or wisdom in?
It's fundamental. You are the sum of the 5 to 10 people that you hang around with. So if you hang around with people who constantly moan and whinge and life's not fair and I'm never going to get anywhere, guess what? You end up not going anywhere. Yeah, and the moment you try and break out of that, they try and pull you back in. Because if you break out of it and make a success, they then try to make excuses. I know some guys that made a lot of money, came from some very humble backgrounds. And yet people from the humble background that haven't made it have the temerity to say things, well, you were lucky. It's it's got nothing to do with luck. I decided I didn't want to be a loser, so I moved away and I did something with myself. And I surrounded myself with other people that wanted to achieve and aspire. So no, you can't blame society or anybody. So surround yourself with people that are ambitious, want to do well, people that want to learn, people that want to help. Yeah? And you'll find it's often the people closest to you that will try and hold you back. Because if you do it, they're left standing looking in the mirror. And what they look back at, they don't like.
Moving on to my next question is, what are the most effective, in your eyes, the most effective techniques of, I think you touched on this before, but what are the most effective techniques of building trust and rapport with your customers when it comes to using your personal brand? So how do we build trust and how do we build rapport with the audience that we're selling to or trying to sell to?
Well, okay, so trust is earned, and trust comes from disarming honesty. So I'm very forthright and direct and open with people. Trust comes from consistency, being able to demonstrate that what you do works consistently. You have to be a practitioner of what you preach. I know so many people, and I've met them, that claim to be good at something on paper, but you put them in the real world and they can't actually do the things that they say you should do. So it's very easy to be an academic teacher. So I'm a vociferous practitioner of what I preach, and I'm conscious too, because we now live in the world of social media and everything, and everyone's got devices that record. So if I don't do what I teach, I could easily be exposed as someone who says one thing and does the other. So you have to demonstrate that you do everything that you say you do. I think that's really important. Ask great questions, obviously, is part of it. So, doing what you say you're going to do. Doing what you say you're going to do. And the other one is make decisions and act. Too many people, particularly in sales, procrastinate and dither. If you can't make a decision and act, you're never going to go too far in life, particularly in sales. If you can't make a decision and act on it, you're never going to get someone else to make a decision and act on it, because only a decision maker can get others to make decisions. So if you're a ditherer, a procrastinator, an umming and ahhing, I got to sleep on it kind of guy, sales is probably not the best place for you. Because whenever your prospects say to you, I need to think it over, I need to sleep on it, I need to get several quotes, you think, yeah, so would I. That's fair. So yeah, you have to be a decision maker to get others to make a decision. And unfortunately, that's not, the irony is, because most people are in sales not out of choice, but out of default. They needed a job. I didn't really decide to do sales. I just had to do it. The irony.
Yeah. And what things do you advise that are out there at the moment? We're living in a generation where the robots are taking over, or potentially going to take over,
yes,
with AI and all these things. But when it comes to now tracking how successful a campaign or effective techniques of what you're doing working, are there any recommendations you have for business owners to track these things?
Well, you've got to track what matters. And unfortunately, most people in sales track vanity metrics. They track things that look good, but actually don't mean anything. So what you want to be tracking is behavior and habits. So let's take a diet plan. Yeah, people say, well, how do you know the diet's working? Well, you'll lose weight. No, that's not evidence the diet's working, actually. What's evidence the diet's working? Losing weight is part of it. But if someone's on the diet but not losing weight, how do you reconcile that? Well, I'm doing the diet. Are you, though? But this is it. Are you actually doing what you're meant to do? And then you discover that they're not doing the behavior that's required that accompanies the diet. And so because they're not doing it, the diet doesn't work. So if you're just measuring weight loss, they could have starved themselves for 3 days before weighing. Yeah, and they hit their metric. But no, that's the wrong behavior. That is not how this works. Yes, you've lost weight, but that's the wrong metric. How you got there is going to determine whether or not you're going to keep doing it and stay there. So sales, you have to measure what matters. So you don't worry about dials or talk time. I've been in companies that you got to make $150 a day. Why? You have to have 3 hours talk time. Why? What behavior do targets like that encourage? If you tell someone they're going to make $150, they phone the talking clock 25 times a day. Yeah? You say to somebody you've got to have 3 hours talk time. What do? They talk to people that can never buy for them for 25 minutes because it's ticking away. So when you set targets that encourage behavior that are non-productive, you shoot yourself in the foot. So you need to track what matters. And what matters in sales is conversations with decision makers and what was said in them. I want that metric. I want you to talk to 4 decision makers every day. And you must do these things on those calls. And if you don't, then they don't count. Because we're measuring what you're doing, because if you do it, you'll get to where you need to be. So you measure what matters. So it's always behavior and habits. It's not vanity figures like dials and talk time and meetings booked. You know, if you say you've got to book 10 meetings. Oh, I'll get 10 meetings all right, but I guarantee 8 of them will be completely shit.
Yeah, measuring what matters. I think that's a lot of people
don't do.
Get. Yeah, they miss that. No, that's actually really, really important point. It's even got me thinking about what are the things that as business owners or as people who want to run businesses, we put a lot of emphasis on, but that don't actually get anywhere or do anything tangible for the business.
No,
but like, as you just said,
it's like sales targets. It's like targets are good. But let's say you've got a sales target of £100,000. You're into your 10th month and you're only on 20,000. But then in the last week of the last quarter of the year, you pulled a deal over the line worth 80k. And you hit your 100 for the year. And then you get praised for hitting targets. It's like, no. Had that 80k not come in, he was 99% of the way through the year on 20. That means for the most of the year, he's crap. This was just luck. So you don't get rewarded for being lucky. Yeah, that doesn't count. Yeah, just because you win the lottery doesn't make you a millionaire. Because to be rich is a mindset. To be poor is a mindset. Why do most people who win the lottery within 4 years back to a similar financial position? Because they didn't earn the right to that money. So because they don't understand it, they don't have the right to it, and then they just squander it. Whereas people who make money know how to make it and keep it. But if you're just given it, you just do with it what you would have. And so it doesn't matter. Outcomes are important, but the getting there is more important. Yeah, I would also measure profit, not revenue. Profit's the only thing that matters. We made £1 million this year. How much profit? £10,000. That's a lot of work for 10 grand, right? Yeah. It's like so. Yeah, good one.
I really like that analogy. So to conclude the conversation today, what are the top? Let's say, if you can give me 5, great. But if you can give me 3, what are the top 3 or 5 tips when it comes to being able to sell effectively that you can give?
Number 1, you've got to accept that you're the most unimportant person when it comes to selling. Nobody gives a toss about you, your business, or your company, so shut the hell up talking about you. That's the first thing. Number 2, no attachment to the outcome. Your job is to get good at how you get there, not whether you get there. The outcome will be right, even if you don't like it. Number 3, you have to invest in yourself. You can't read your way to being good at selling. You've got to invest in something and then go out and try. And you've got to take a lot of punches and hits. Yeah, people quit too easily, particularly salespeople. They take the easiest route. So you've got to invest in yourself. Number 4, you have to be in control. And this is a biggie. Most salespeople are never in control of the sales process. They're reacting to the prospect. The prospect calls the shot. Can you send me a proposal? Oh, yeah, sure. So now the salesman's working for free. What's the commitment they get? Oh, no commitment. He just needs a proposal. So we're going to go spend an hour, put something together for this person without any commitment from them that if they like it, they're going to... No. That's kind of stupid. Oh, yeah, but that's why it's done. Yeah? So no, you have to be in control. Will be the 4th one. And the 5th one is... This is selling. I mean, people take it way too seriously, for goodness sake. Yeah, I mean, you got to have fun with this stuff. If you're not trying to contain your laughter in a sales meeting, you're doing something wrong because it means you're under pressure. There should be no pressure on a salesperson. I'm not the one with the bloody problem. You've invited me in because you say your sales guy sucks. So I'm not the one with the issue. I've got a room full of good salespeople. So why would I be under any pressure?
Yeah. Enjoy what you're doing. And bring. I think that's where being comfortable and knowing your audience and knowing your customer base also lends itself, because I guess you have to be yourself, right? It stands.
No,
a good.
That's a lie. You don't have to be yourself.
Uh-oh.
What?
Okay, tell me. You don't have to be yourself. He's going to tell me off. Go on.
You see, because we all have personalities, and our personalities can be bunched into categories. The problem is most people don't share your personality type. So if you go in just being you, you'll only sell consistently to the people that are like you. This is why salespeople always say people buy me and they buy into me. When you look at the people they've sold to, it's you sold to someone just like you. So people are naturally gravitas to people like them. So the phrase, heard the phrase people buy people.
Yeah.
It's actually people buy people like them. 2 fat guys in a Hawaiian shirt sell to each other. Big fat guy in a Hawaiian shirt in front of a stick insect of an accountant in a pinstripe suit. What are the odds of them doing business? Much, much lower, right? So if he wants to win that guy over, he needs to take off the Hawaiian suit, put on a suit, tone down the bravarity, and focus on what that guy would want to focus on. Facts, figures, and detail. So you give the prospect the personality that they're most comfortable with, and it will be them. So you can't be you on a sales meeting.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. No, I like that. I feel like that's a great way to end this chat. Is there anything, any pearls of wisdom that, anything else that you want to share with anybody watching and listening today?
Yes, buy my stuff. And everything we've discussed today, you'll be able to conquer and do. This is I'm unashamedly always plugging what I do. What I do works. And I've got the recommendations and the referrals of the clients to prove it. It's just incredibly uncomfortable and hard. But if you want to do it, buy my stuff.
And how do people get in contact with you or find you?
So I've obviously got a website. Unbelievably, it's called UK'sMostHatedSalesTrainer.com. Find me on LinkedIn or on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel with just over 18,000 subscribers, loads of videos and content. Again, UK's Most Hated Sales Trainer on YouTube. Those are where you find me: LinkedIn, YouTube, or my website.
You heard it here, folks. Thank you so much for your time today, Benjamin. We really appreciate the knowledge and the gems and the real insights that you brought about sales, because I feel like sales is such it's a topic and an area where it can be very, very boring. But it's something that, from just looking at you, hearing you, there's a lot of life that can be put into your sales.
Absolutely. Selling, I love selling because I know what I'm now doing. And like I say, the hardest thing for me when I'm in a sales meeting is trying not to laugh, because I know exactly what's going on. And when you're in total control and you have no attachment to the outcome, I do very well out of this. So whenever I get in front of any company, I don't need their money. I'd like it, but if they don't buy from me, I'm honestly, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm just topping up what I have. I don't need it to live. Yeah, and that takes time. But when I wasn't in this position, I still had to act the same way. You have to act. Well, let me end on this. This is one last pearl of wisdom. I ask all my clients this. If you were a millionaire who didn't need the money, you just loved what you did, you just loved showing people your product or service because you knew that if they used it, it would make their life better. And you didn't care if they didn't buy from you. You just wanted them to know about it. I said, would you put up with half the crap your prospects put you through now? Everybody says, no, I wouldn't. So the only reason you're doing it now is because you're attached to the money. You got to let go of the money. Selling isn't about money. Money's the byproduct of doing your job well. It's not the end goal. The end goal is doing the job well. The money is a reward. I don't care about the money. I like money. I enjoy money. But it's not the money I'm after. It's how I get there for them to give me the money. That's the most important. Focus on what matters.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Really appreciate you joining us here today on this special episode of UKBF Talks. If you do have any questions or want to find out a bit more about Benjamin, you heard it, head over to his YouTube channel where you can type in the UK's #1 most hated salesman. Same on LinkedIn and also his website as well. But yeah, thank you again, Benjamin, and we will see you soon.